For more than 2 hours today, members of Congress grilled the acting director of national intelligence as they continue looking into the whistleblower complaint against President Trump.
A redacted version of that complaint was released today ahead of today's testimony. Jennifer Bellamy walks us through three key moments.
Well, Joseph McGuire is the acting director of national intelligence. He fielded both friendly and pointed questions from the House Intelligence Committee today. Here are three of the big takeaways. First, McGuire was tight-lipped.
But just so we can be clear for the record, you are not denying that you spoke to the president about this complaint.
What I'm saying, Congressman, is that I will not divulge privileged conversations that I have as the Director of National Intelligence with the President.
Has the White House instructed you to assert that privilege?
No, sir.
When asked if he discussed the complaint with President Trump, McGuire wouldn't say yes or no. He only said his conversations with the president were privileged. He also said how the White House, Office of the President, and National Security Council chose to conduct their business is their business. Second, we are in uncharted territory here. McGuire told members that he believed this might be the first time a whistleblower complaint from the intelligence community was withheld from Congress, and went on to explain why he says he held off.
You exercise your discretion to withhold the complaint from the committee.
I did not, sir. What I did was I delayed it because it did not meet the statutorily definition of urgent concern.
Now, while McGuire said the complaint didn't rise to the legal definition of an urgent concern, the intelligence community's inspector general believed that it did and that it required him by law to share the complaint. McGuire also said no one told him not to forward that complaint on to lawmakers. And number three, finally, others will likely face more scrutiny over this complaint, including President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
Does he have security clearance?
I don't know. Congressman Quigley, I'm neither aware or unaware whether or not Mr. Giuliani has a security clearance.
Giuliani was referred to as a quote-unquote central figure in the whistleblower's complaint, and he's mentioned frequently in the memorandum of President Trump's call with the president of Ukraine. It's clear more attention will be paid to him and others, including Attorney General William Barr and his Justice Department, as well as the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the State Department. We have so much more on this hearing for you right now on 11live.com and the 11 Live app.
Democrats believe they have the evidence they need for an impeachment inquiry, but Republicans say it's just a partisan takedown. NBC4's Conan Nolan live at our News Operations Center with more. Hey, Conan.
That's right. This is the document. Now, in it, the whistleblower admits that he did not witness that which was alleged, but talked to 6 different U.S. White House officials. Republicans in the House of Representatives say this is a partisan effort at taking down the president. Democrats say it's a smoking gun.
Moments before the acting director of national intelligence testified on Capitol Hill, Burbank Congressman Adam Schiff, the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, released the whistleblower complaint, which Schiff called the blueprint for impeachment.
We were presented with the most graphic evidence yet that the President of the United States has betrayed his oath of office.
The document accuses the president of soliciting foreign interference in the 2020 U.S. election. The complaint focuses on but goes far beyond the president's July 25th phone call with the newly elected president of Ukraine. A transcript of that call released yesterday by the White House shows the president asked his foreign counterpart for a favor investigating Joe Biden and his son. The document also alleges that White House lawyers were so convinced President Trump had abused his power, they moved to lock down the evidence by transferring a transcript of the Ukrainian call to a high-security server.
This is a cover-up. This is a cover-up.
The whistleblower himself has not been identified.
I think the whistleblower did the right thing. I think he followed the law every step of the way.
When the Inspector General found that this whistleblower was credible, he was right.
Ranking Republican Devin Nunes of Fresno County dismissed the hearing as a political stunt, pointing out the whistleblower did not directly witness the acts alleged, but relied on information provided by more than a half-dozen U.S. officials.
They don't want answers. They want a public spectacle. And so we've been treated to an unending parade of press releases, press conferences, and fake news stories.
Who were those in the White House who provided information to the whistleblower? Mr. Trump says he'd like to know. The Los Angeles Times obtaining an audio recording of comments he made today before U.S. staffers at the United Nations.
I want to know who's the person that gave the whistleblower the information, because that's close to a spy. You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, right? With spies and treason. We used to handle it a little differently than we do now.
Chairman Schiff says he would like the whistleblower, perhaps behind closed doors, to testify before the House Intelligence Committee. He also wants to talk to those 6 U.S. White House officials whom the whistleblower talked to. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
All right, Conan, thank you. And right now on our NBCLA website, you can read the redacted whistleblower's complaint. Just search whistleblower, and you can also learn more about the impeachment process.
You solemnly swear or affirm
if nothing else, the acting director of U.S. National Intelligence today highlighted the obvious for those now trying to impeach Donald Trump.
Chairman, the horse has left the barn. You have all of the information.
Indeed, in a surprise, moments earlier, the White House had released the whistleblower report that began all of this. It details a series of direct and indirect communications between Donald Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, with Trump pressing Zelensky to dig up dirt on Trump rival Joe Biden earlier this year. It cites multiple unnamed officials. As the report put it, the president abused his office for personal gain.
It's hard to imagine a more serious set of allegations than those contained in the complaint.
Says the document, Attorney General Bill Barr was involved, and it calls Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani a central figure. Stunningly, it also implies a White House cover-up, saying records of what was deemed a routine call were, strangely, put in a hyper-secure computer system, calling it a lockdown, adding, it's not the first time this White House has done that for purely political reasons.
It's another witch hunt. Here we go again.
Trump slammed Democrats for all of it. But it's what he said privately today that's raised serious concerns. Leaked to the LA Times, it's Trump with U.S. staff at the UN linking whoever spoke out with treason.
I want to know who's the person that gave the whistleblower, who's the person that gave the whistleblower the information? Because that's close to a spy. You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, right? With spies and treason. Right? We used to handle it a little differently than we do now.
In that recording, Trump did not mention that the penalty in the U.S. for treason is death. The whistleblower, meanwhile, for the record, still wants to speak before Congress. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
All right, for some analysis, let's bring in David Frum, staff writer with The Atlantic. Okay, how clear is the case for impeachment when it comes to this particular scandal involving Ukraine?
Well, the case for impeachment is Congress can impeach for any reason it wants to impeach. But in this case, what is so serious about this is we are now at a point, there's no dispute about the fact of the matter. When people say that the whistleblower had secondhand information, at this point we actually have a summary of the call. We know that the whistleblower got it exactly right. Donald Trump and the people around him, they're not denying that it happened the way the whistleblower said it happened. They're denying that it's important, that it's meaningful, but the facts are the facts.
And is that the significant difference between what's happening today and all the other times that we've talked about impeachment or the Democrats have contemplated it?
Well, what has happened in the past is the rollout of the facts has been very slow. There's a rumor. It's denied. The denials are lies, but it takes a long time to put together exactly what happened. By the time people figure out what happened, everyone still gets used to it. The shock has passed. We're in a moment where the facts were agreed almost instantly and the shock is there. And the other thing that makes this difference is this is about national security. There is a shooting war going on in Ukraine. Hundreds of people have been killed. Thousands have been made refugees. Tens of thousands have been made refugees. And the United States Congress voted hundreds of millions of dollars of aid, not in charity, but because it believed the security of the Western world is on the line in Ukraine. And Donald Trump said, you may all think that this war is important. What I think is important, more important than helping a country resist invasion, more important is for them to fabricate dirt on someone I think might be my political opponent.
What could be going through the minds of Senate Republicans right now, do you think?
They want it to go away. There was a reporter who stopped 7 Republican senators, and 7 out of 7 said they hadn't even read the whistleblower complaint, which is only about 5 pages long. They don't want to know. There's a Russian saying, the less you know, the better you sleep. That seems to be the way a lot of Republican senators are approaching this.
And for Donald Trump, this is, I don't know, how does he handle this over the course of until the next election, I guess?
Well, he's had a kind of psychic collapse. You saw that at the UN, where he just seemed to be unbelievably demoralized. He's going to handle it by bluster and hoping that he can hold together enough senators. Remember, it takes 67 to remove him, and it's almost impossible to see how anybody gets that 67 number. But the thing that they're not thinking enough about is, yeah, it's 67 to remove, but it's 51 senators to take control of the trial, because the trial is by the rules of the trial are by majority vote, even if the ultimate outcome is by 2/3.
Okay, David Frum.
Whether you like President Trump or you don't, you should consider this. Was there a cover-up of President Trump's telephone conversation with a foreign president asking him for help to investigate a political enemy? Here's what the whistleblower charges in his official complaint. In the days following the phone call, I learned from multiple U.S. officials that senior White House officials had intervened to lock down all records of that phone call, especially the official word-for-word transcript of the call that was produced, as is customary, by the White House Situation Room. The set of actions underscored to me that White House officials understood the gravity of what had transpired in that call. White House officials told me they were directed by White House lawyers to remove the electronic transcript from the computer system in which such transcripts are typically stored for coordination, finalization, and distribution to cabinet-level officials. Folks, if this is what really happened, that's a cover-up, and that could become an even bigger problem for Republicans on the Hill who stand between Democrats and the president's remaining time in office. That's it for tonight. If you have any questions, we are here for you. Make sure to hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Just make sure to use the hashtag, the Q&A. I'm Bruce Johnson. Have a good evening.